everyone. Welcome to the Trail Talk High Pointing Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren, and the High Pointers that we're speaking with today are Tom Shea and Justin Sutton. Now, Highpointers Club members know Tom, or podcast listeners know Tom, obviously, as a frequent guest, and he's also one of the co-editors for A to Z magazine. Justin Sutton is the membership lead for the Highpointers Club, and he's also been on the podcast before. But today, we are going to talk about the Highpointers Club as seen on TV on CBS. Many people know that CBS came to the Highpointers Club convention in Bishop, California this past summer, and they did an interview. And we're here to talk about behind the scenes and also the aftermath. What effect did it have on the club? So Tom or Justin, whoever wants to start off, can we talk about being part of the interview and like behind the scenes? How did they approach you? How did you approach them? How did CBS find out about the Highpointers Club?
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in a little bit. We learned of it. Shannon Bromond, our president, had some interactions. As I understand it, Kelsey Miklas, who was the producer of the show, her boyfriend is a high pointer. And in their interactions and conversations, she learned of it, thought that it would be a cool idea. And that sort of was the starting point for it.
Now, is her boyfriend in the club?
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he's not, we'll make sure immediately following this.
He needs to be.
Because he should be. I think he is. I really don't. I had a number of conversations with Kelsey. I didn't end up actually speaking with her boyfriend. So we should dig into that. We'll do a little investigative reporting on that. But Kelsey was phenomenal. They came and really did a lot of kind of significant research. Like, you realize how professional that organization is. And, not surprising, CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley is a pretty professional organization. But they went out to, a number of high points. They came out to our convention in California. They really captured a lot of footage and got a lot of great background, had a bunch of interesting interviews. So they did their homework without a doubt.
Yeah, and you can tell when you watch this clip. And for people listening on Apple, Spotify, I'll put a link to the YouTube video that it's a little over 5 minutes or just around 5 minutes. And I will put it in the YouTube video as well. It's they condensed a lot of information, a lot of really great short interviews in that amount of time. Justin, how were you approached with this interview?
So I didn't get to partake in the interview. I didn't get to go to the convention this year. My son plays football, and convention was on Football Friday, and I was like, I probably need to be dad. I go cheer on number 41 for the Greyhounds. Shameless plug. But anyhow, so I knew about this story. We talked about it was coming out. I was like, that's going to be great. It'd be wonderful for the club. In the back of my mind, I kept thinking, man, I wish we knew for sure what day this was coming, because there's probably some work that we could do that would be really good to have done beforehand, before the story breaks. It's kind of like when you have a baby coming, like, oh, I should probably get this nursery ready because this baby's going to come, or we should probably put this work in, which we were also on track to have a baby any day around then, which baby came about a week before the story broke, if I remember right. So it was really exciting. But
cool.
So I knew the story is lurking out there, and I was just waiting for it to finally hit. And Tom, if I remember right, we got told that, hey, the story's going to be this week. But then I think U.S. forces kidnapped the president of Venezuela, or apprehended him, however we want to frame that, I guess. And it kicked us off air. It bumped us off air that day. But it wasn't much longer that I figured out something had happened. I was doing my weekly grocery shopping. And I got a text message. It was from a 601 area code. That's in Mississippi. I was like, well, that's not too weird. And it was like, hey, can you tell me about the Highpointers Club? And I was like, what is? Wonder if it's like an old friend from high school, maybe my parents' friends. No big deal. Then I ding, 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 get a couple emails. I'm like, man, what in the world's going on with everybody today? A couple of text messages later from random area codes. And I'm sitting there checking the expiration date on some eggs I'm trying to buy. And I'm finally shooting off an email. Did our story run today? Because my phone is blowing up while I'm grocery shopping, to which I believe the email comes back to everybody, yeah, I ran today. And I was like, I knew something was up because everybody wants to be in the Highpointers Club, don't get me wrong, but not normally 20, 30 people at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning are blowing up my phone to join the club. So it was quite the awakening to find out, oh, this ran. And I was like, we are totally unprepared. Much like we were when our baby came. We didn't have everything ready. She came a little bit early, and it was just a mad dash to the hospital. Well, this was a mad dash online to help start answering some questions for all of our new members that joined.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Justin, because it was supposed to run. We got kind of a heads up the week before. Mm-hmm. And I remember I felt a little bit like the boy who cried wolf because, everybody was really excited about it. So I sent out a bunch of texts to people saying, hey, I got the word. I think I might have even sent you one more.
Yeah, I got that. I was ready to watch it.
Yeah, and of course, you don't know exactly when they're going to put you on. You think it might be later in the broadcast. So, of course, we watched the entire thing. And then I think we were mad at Oprah and we were mad at the Turtles. Yeah. Or like whatever came, right? We're like, they're showing that. They're not showing us. And we realized at that point that, it just television production, it got bumped. But we didn't find out, definitively that it was going to be the next week. It was Correct. Like at some point it will likely show, we're not quite sure. And I think Kelsey committed that she would let us know. But then it just showed the next week, right? I mean, all of a sudden your phone blew up and it was done.
I was like, man, I could have had some much better looking Facebook posts sitting out here than what we've had recently. Could have done this, could have done that. And it's like when your in-laws show up at just the absolute worst time in the world, when you're least prepared for it. That's when this dropped and came on TV. But I think the best thing, I knew we got real. I was driving back from the grocery store after I finally realized if I keep answering all these right now, I'm never going to actually check out of this grocery store. And driving home, I get a text message from a buddy who's on a layover in Atlanta, and he's like, CBS News is on at the restaurant here, and I just saw something about your Highpointers Club. And that's when I knew we had made it big time, for sure at that point.
Yeah. Well, you realize, you don't, at least I didn't fully understand the reach of something like CBS Sunday Morning News. And it, people were reaching out that I haven't spoken to in a long time because when I spoke to Kelsey, she had asked for a bunch of pictures. We sent a couple of your podcasts so that she could listen to them to get a feel for it. We sent her a bunch of Apex to Zenith magazines. So I think she actually showed the cover of one or two. And she asked for a bunch of pictures because they had all the footage that they did. But then they also wanted to just put some, candid shots. And one of the pictures that I sent her was the Indiana High Point that I happened to be at with my daughter's dog, Bowie. Yeah. Because I was driving cross country with him. And that was one of the pictures. And Bowie has fans out there. We got friends of his. He lived in California for a while. And people saw it. They're like, hey, was that Bowie that I just saw on CBS Sunday morning? So it's funny. They do have a very broad reach, and a lot of people see that show.
Well, I think it helped that it was something different, and it's like good news, and it's people getting together, and of course it was all positive things. And my favorite part of the whole interview was, Tom, like you said, they did their research, and I think my favorite part was when they were sitting on the bench at Charles Mound. Like they actually went to Illinois. So the interview is not just in Bishop. Of course, part of it is there because that's where the convention was. But they went to Charles Mound, and he's sitting on the bench with another high pointer. And the interviewer is saying to the high pointer, like, it's not the most picturesque thing. And the high pointer kind of corrects him, and he says, actually, this is really beautiful. Like, this is farmland. This is unique to Illinois, to Northwest Illinois. And I think that really captured the whole, one of the most beautiful parts of high pointing is like, no, we're not chasing these like, picturesque landscapes that you would see in National Geographic. We're chasing after, yes, the high point, but also these features that are unique to each state. And to me, going to Charles Mound, that is just it's so uniquely Illinois. Like, it's not Chicago, but it is
Yes.
Illinois. And Northwest Illinois is so beautiful. A lot of people wouldn't know that if they didn't go to Charles Mound.
Yeah.
And you could say the same thing about Iowa or Nebraska or something like that. And that was my favorite part of the interview. I'm like, thank you for very politely correcting him. And then, of course, the brother and sister are they from the Netherlands?
Yes.
I don't want to get that wrong.
I'm going to say yes, but they are among the very few international U.S. high pointers who I've met a couple of times at, I remember they were at the Pennsylvania convention, and and they were great. I mean, they are.
That was cool to see them, because they showed pictures of them, when they were obviously younger doing it. And then they did an interview with them, recently, and you can tell like this has been a while for them, and their brother and sister.
Right.
And then
I think you're right. They captured a lot of the unique elements of the club and of high pointing and what it's all about. I mean, for those who don't know, Charles Mound in Illinois is one of the high points that's on private land. And so there's only a few times during the year that you're able to go, and, the people who live in the house are really, really awesome and great and open up, their home really to high pointers a few times a year. So they were excited to be able to go out there and see that. But they did mention a couple of times kind of the quirkiness or the interesting elements of the club. And I think that was one of them, right? People are not going to, whatever the travel guide says is the, most beautiful spot here. They're going to somebody's house on a weekend that it's open in order to go to this high point in Illinois.
But I'll tell you though, I think it's the quirkiness that makes high pointing so fun. So we've driven to every high point we've ever been to. We've never flown out to any of them. And we have seen the most random places in the United States that you never would imagine you would have gone to by doing this. And I'm always thrilled that we've done it, because this is an experience that I'll never forget. We've been to Carthage in Nebraska, where they got a bunch of old cars shaped into a replica of Stonehenge, which is phenomenal. Just any kind of random thing you can think of, you see it driving from Rapid City back to the Mississippi coast. And so quirky, whatever. Beauty's defined 100 different ways. There wasn't much more beautiful than being at the high point, Mount Sunflower in Kansas, and standing out there on a day where it was no noise, just wind going through the air and the sun shining on your face, no cell service. And I'm like, that's beautiful. I'm just in a dusty, windy place, and nobody can even bother me. So it's all, and then there are obviously some very beautiful high points as well. You think about Black Elk Peak in South Dakota, for example. But it's the road trip adventure of a lifetime if you go and get after it.
Yeah, and they highlighted the accessibility of all of it. So, they showed pictures of people on Denali, but then they said, they talked to some older people who said, this gets us moving, and that's very important for our health. And then I think they did like a drone shot of Mount Washington and like people driving up. And so I hope that viewers, when they see that, thought, okay, this isn't elite, and I can be a part of this. And I think everyone just loves a scavenger hunt type of adventure. And, we all love the national parks. We all love our state parks. You collect them all. And I think high pointing is just lesser known. Maybe not anymore, but it was before the CBS interview.
Now it's out
so
there.
that was a cool thing too. So many of the people who reached out, a lot of their comments were, I didn't know other people did this. And I'm like, thousands of people do it actually. Wow. Guess what? It's not just you. It was remarkable to me. That was how many people were just reaching out. I didn't know anybody else. There's people who started, saw this on TV, didn't know existed. I've done 15 already. I'm like, hey, go get your patch.
Justin, and I never really even thought of this, but that has been consistent from the first days of the Highpointers Club, right? Because Jack Longacre, the founder of the Highpointers Club, wrote a letter to Outsider Magazine, and that's what he indicated was, does anybody else have this same crazy thing that they do, that I do, is try to go to the highest point in any state? And that's been consistent, right? I think people kind of came upon it on their own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, however, it's sort of this organic, they wanted to be out in nature, they learned of it however they learned of it. And I think from the Apex to Zenith magazine perspective, that's one of the most interesting storylines is, how did you learn about high pointing? What path are you taking it down? Right? And everybody's they start at a different time, and, some have young families. Lauren, you and Rory are going to be out there doing whatever high points you do. And, some people start at that point, but then some people are older and they start later, and, they drive and they want to do it to keep moving. So it's a very, very broad group of people. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating.
And props to Jack for not worrying. People thought he was crazy for putting that question out there. So I think, a lot of people, you get these ideas, these travel ideas, these checklists you want to hit, and you're like, I don't know if I want to tell too many people I'm doing this. They're going to think I'm crazy. Like, why are you driving to West Can, Kansas, when you could go to all these other places? I'm like, well, because they don't have the high point of a state there, And so, kudos to Jack being the one to put it out there. Like, hey, am I the only crazy person out here?
Yeah, especially at a time when putting it out there was not what it is today. I think a lot of people, when they come up with a different outdoor challenge, they'll, put it out on Instagram. Hey, does anyone else do this? And then, pretty instantly it can turn into a thing. But when you put it out there in the way that he did in a magazine, there's a longer turnaround, I think. And you just have to hope that there are others out there like you, but just know that there might not be.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to turn this into a whole thing. Maybe I'll edit this out. But when people introduce a new outdoor endeavor or something via social media, it's almost as if they see it as a challenge. Like, can this be my thing?
Yeah.
Can I own this? Can I be the one that starts this? And it becomes about the person doing that and not the endeavor itself. But what I love about the Outside Magazine article from, back in the day is like that it was about high pointing and seeing how many people we can get together.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think a lot of people do. It's like, what's your motivation behind why you're doing it, right? Is it to like to check off the list and say it's cool and I was the first one and this was my idea,
gatekeeping.
Yeah. Or is it, hey, I just learned of this thing and I can make this my hobby, or I can make this my thing because I love being outside, and this is a good framework to do it in.
Yeah. Hot take alert. I'm not a big fan of the fastest to do this or youngest to do this. I know it's probably not popular. I might just got myself banned from the club. I don't know, but I'm not always a big fan of that because I think you do lose what's really beautiful about it. I mean, maybe it is fun to try to do them all in 30-something days, but man, how much are you missing in that rush to do it?
John Mitchler, who was a guest on your show, who was one of the original, the OG high pointer.
Yeah, also the unofficial high pointing encyclopedia walking.
Yes, and the original, or one of the very original. There's only been a few editors of Apex to Zenith, and he was the guy for many, 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 many years, and really sort of made it what it is. But I saw he posted something to that point, Justin, about the fastest to do something, and it was something about. Did you see it? That the fastest to go to
all the streets named after a state in Washington D.C. or something crazy like that. Of course, that dude. I don't know if he's listening
to the next level. Right. So it was the fastest to go to every street named after a state.
We're running out.
Now that's one I'm like, Maybe next time I go to DC, I'm gonna try that. But that
It
dude,
was like 10
I don't know.
hours. You could probably beat that. You could own that.
Hey, we'll try. We'll try. I'll know John's listening. That dude's a character, man. He'll send me random things like, guess where I'm at, and he's like been like to the oldest bar in like I don't know
Oh,
how
the
many
oldest
states or
bars,
the highest
the
golf
golf
course.
courses. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just want to be John Mitchell when I grow up. That's all. When I grow up, I just want to be John Mitchell.
Yeah.
That dude is living life right.
When I see stuff like that, I'm like, are we running out of stuff? It's like it's not enough to be the fastest up and down a mountain. Now it's like I'm the fastest to do it in this pair of shoes, wearing this animal skin print while I carry this. Are we running out?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're only limited by your creativity.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is not to get too deep down this rat hole, but I think a lot of it's sort of social media driven.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%.
As opposed to just doing it because it's enjoyable to do.
Yeah.
How about going to a high point without your camera and just enjoying where you are?
Yep.
Yep. I did that in Maryland. I went to the top, realized I didn't have my camera.
But were you the first one?
You're the first person.
I may have been the first person that day because this Mississippi guy from the coast was freezing. It was like 7 degrees and snow on the ground, and we don't have clothes for that here.
Having said all this stuff about fastest known times, there is an episode that I did with the Highpointers Club records keeper, and that was really interesting. Mm-hmm. And there are some
Terry Bird, yeah,
Terry Bird, yeah.
Terry's a great
there
guy.
Are some people who are like, high point with a cat or something like that. It gets fun. It does. And
look, I think there's the fun element of it, right?
Yeah.
And then there is, there's been some debate around the youngest person to do it. Mm-hmm. Does that put you in a position where, in order for us to break this record, we've got to push somebody to climb something within the next month when it just might not be in the natural flow of when you're doing it. So I think it comes down to like, what's the purpose of what you're doing and why?
Absolutely.
And if you put in, it can take away from the spirit of it if you're kind of rushing to do something just to break some record, some random record.
Yeah, for a hot minute, I thought about trying to talk my wife into having the baby at Britton Hill, Florida. Went too far away. I was like, hey, we just had the baby there. Should be the fastest person to ever get to a high point. We're magically still married. I don't know how, but
that's the youngest person to get to a high point. That's been a debate too.
That'd be a pretty hard thing to ever beat right there.
Point, does that mean that's the youngest, or do you actually have to have had the baby and have the baby?
Right. Because I wanted to know. I did a couple high points when I was pregnant. I'm like, does it? But anyway,
we're giving some people some really bad ideas.
You have to actually be there to see it. You have to be able to take the picture with the baby.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough. But, so if we ever have number 4, maybe we'll see.
There you go.
So getting back to the interview, Justin, is there a number of memberships that have come through as a result of the CBS interview?
Yeah, it's a big number. And if you had a guess worth his salt, he probably had that already in the back of his head. But we're talking about a couple hundred. We're well over what we normally are. I want to say our first day, we had 80, 90 something new members sign up on our very first day, which was incredible. Like within hours of that.
You had that awesome chart that you showed, which was like the spike up within the couple weeks following.
So we've already had, this was back in February, whenever we had our last board meeting. We already had 148 new members sign up this year, which was just an incredible number.
That's good.
From that, we also had a lot of folks who were not currently in the club. I think maybe you'd be like, oh man, I knew I forgot to do something in my life, or it was missing something, and they came back and joined. So we've had a lot of people come back who have been gone for a few years. After that, but it was a definite surge. Usually, we get close to doing renewals or whatever on a weekend, and I'll get like 25 or 30 in. I got to process. Just that Sunday, it was like 89 that had just come in off of that one. And then it didn't stop. That wave kept going really for a good week and a half, a good bit. And I'm still getting random emails from people like, oh, I meant to email you when I saw this on CBS. Your club looks really cool. Can you tell me more about it?
Wow.
So it's still going out there and echoing through. So it's been pretty awesome to see, and I love it. There's a lot of folks who are real excited. Some folks who I think sign up and they're like, I don't even really know what this club is, but this just seemed really cool, and it's not prohibitive in cost. So we just went ahead and signed up and joined, and I'm hoping they stick around for a good long time. So it's exciting. We're glad to have them.
Yeah. For listeners and viewers who are not Highpointers Club members, can you tell them how they do that, what it costs, and what it includes?
Yeah, easy greasy to do. You just go to our website, highpointers.org, and click on membership. It'll take you right to the application. Suggest doing it online. It's a little bit faster than having to print off an application and snail mail it, but you can do whichever one you want to do. $30 for 1 year, 2 for $60, or 3 for $90 if you do mail in. So $5 extra charge. So $35, $65, or $95. And doing that, you get to be part of what I think is the most exciting group that you can be a part of if you like the outdoors. Get to get A to Z, which Tom and Tommy put phenomenal work into. Each quarter is a quarterly publication, comes out 4 times a year. They do great work. They're going to have some great stories out from the trails, from people who are out high pointing. They're going to have great photos from those high points, as well as stories you're going to see. There's a feature they run that's what's in the name, talking about the history behind the names of high points, which is really cool, I think. And just a bunch of other tips and hints and other things that help you along the way. It's a great publication they put together. I know it takes a lot of time and effort. If people haven't put those kind of things together, they don't know what all goes into it. So real credit to them. That, to me, is our coolest thing we have. But other than that, we actually have our own Facebook group. I know there's that big 50 Points High Point group, and no knock on them. But if you want to just engage actual people who are in the Highpointers Club, you have access to that group from there as well. And then I think the best thing is our convention. You get to meet so many people. You don't technically have to be a member to go, but it's a lot more fun if you're a member when you go. So all kinds of great things there. And then that'll even count our merchandise. You can get patches, pins, plaques, all kinds of things, but they're only for members only when it comes to the achievement pins and plaques and patches. So you get access to those too. So it's great. So for $30 a year, you can't beat it. So yeah, crazy for not joining.
Really good deal.
Have you guys received your
Yes
Apex to Zenith? It should have come like last couple of days.
It's right under my desk.
Have not. It might be in my mailbox. I haven't checked it in the last 2 or 3 days, so it might be sitting in there.
Should be there. Yeah, it's crazy how you also learn a lot about the mail system.
It's something.
People get it in a day. Some people get it in a week. But it should be out there now for people who are looking.
It's a great issue, and I have seen a couple more downloads than recently, and more downloads than usual after the CBS interview. But I get these like bi-weekly updates, how many people have downloaded, and they'll say what episode they download. And the number one episode that people download on a bi-weekly basis, this is when I get the numbers, is the Isaac Dushku, the guy who draws the maps, the Lord of Maps.
Right.
Everyone wants to hear him.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the same map that you're looking at.
Yeah.
He's the unofficial map of the club.
We all have it.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't know anybody who doesn't.
I bought some of his other works too. He makes a national parks poster, and every little park is a turtle. It's you got to see it. I'll put a link to this actual poster, but it's like the base is a turtle, and then there's like a dome where the turtle shell is, and in that dome is the main feature of the park. It's really cool.
That's
and then you can
impressive.
kind of like draw on a bubble if you've been to the park. But he has said in that episode, like, I made this high point, it's not a map, I guess it's a drawing of all the high points. And he said, and now I'm just the high point guy. I'm like, you are.
Hey, I've been called a lot worse in life, so he should be happy with that.
That's right.
Yeah.
How one major hit of a map can set you up for life as the high point.
It put him on the map, if you will.
There you go.
But so to wrap this up, I will say please check out the CBS interview. And if you're not a club member, I will provide the highpointers.org link where you can follow Justin's instructions to become a member, where you can get...
see this, Lauren, but there is a...
Oh, yeah, there it is. It's in, yeah.
On the CBS in the latest issue of Apex Casino. So check it out on the podcast and then go to the membership page that Justin recommended, join the club, and you'll get Apex to Zenith, and you'll go full circle. You'll have
your life will be much better.
Yeah, and A to Z is such a great publication. It keeps you motivated, because sometimes, like in the colder seasons, I guess that's when less people are high pointing, I think. Well, maybe not in the South, but everywhere else. And you get this publication in the mail, and you're reminded of, like, we're all at least planning high points. There are people out there high pointing. They're sending in their pictures. They're writing their stories. They're sharing their memories with you, and it keeps me motivated. And I talk to a lot of high pointers, so it's a really great thing to get on a quarterly basis. And I know I look forward to it. This last one was great. All right, well, everyone check it out. I'm looking forward
to checking out your link to the CBS thing, because here's something crazy. I've not yet ever seen the news story.
It's
By
good.
the time I got done processing memberships and answering emails and text messages, and had a 2-week-old in the house, I never actually saw the story. I started thinking about that when we were talking. I was like, I don't even know what's in that news story, because I have not seen it. So
they did a good job.
I'm glad you guys shared that link, because I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, they did a really good job. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good news story, and we all need that. So thanks, Tom and Justin, for the work that you do in the Highpointers Club, and for being a part of this CBS interview, either in the front end or the back end.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was definitely an adventure, and it's good to have that out there too, because I think that's a good, as you said, Lauren, it's like 5 minutes that captures the essence of it. So a good place for people to start if they want more info.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this has been fun, guys. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
You know it.
Always a pleasure.